So, good morning, all of you. Today, we are going to see what exactly is operating system and what are the functions that operating system performs. Uh, Together with this, we will be seeing a few of the types that operating system have, the major types of operating system that exist, their roles, what are the utilities of operating system, and few of the slides will also tell you that how we can, enhance the functionalities of operating system. So, starting with this, let us just begin today's topic of operating system and its functions. So, as we are already aware that, see, the operating system is basically, it acts as a communication bridge, or you can say that it acts as an interface between the user and the computer hardware. In the later slides, I'm just going to show you one diagram to show where exactly is your operating system in between your computer hardware and the user, right? Now, when we talk about the purpose of an operating system, it is basically to provide a platform on which a user can execute his program in a very convenient and very efficient way. So we can say that operating system is considered to be a piece of software which manages the various tasks like allocation of computer hardware, managing the resources. I'll be coming over it in the few slides, that what exactly are the functions that it is providing. So you see, when actually this operating system does the coordination of hardware, and this coordination of hardware must be appropriate to ensure the correct working of the computer system and to prevent user programs from interfering with the proper working of the system. Like let us assume that your some boss is there who is ordering his employee. In the similar way, you can say that we request or pass out orders to the operating system. Now, the main goal of operating system is to make the computer environment more convenient to use. And we can say there is a secondary goal also. What is the secondary goal of operating system? It is just to use the resources in the most efficient manner, right? So this is what exactly is an operating system. So these will be my topics today that I'm going to cover. I'll be taking up the operating system objectives. What are the objectives of operating system? We have actually just seen, but we'll see it later on. Then we'll be seeing what are the layers of the computer system with respect to operating system that I'm going to tell you. Then this is the more important part here, that you are seeing services provided by the operating system. So we'll be seeing that what all are the services that are provided by operating system. Then we'll see the functions of the operating system. What are the functions that operating system performs? Then we are going to see the types of operating system. There are various types of operating system, because operating system is meant to perform specific tasks. So an operating system also has got various types. Then we have enhancing of OS, how we can enhance the OS and how we can improve its functionality. So this is what we are going to cover, and finally I'm going to give you some of the MCQ part on the slide itself, and you can self assess yourself that whatever you have learned in this lecture, how much knowledge you have gained, right? So I'm going to share those MCQs on the screen itself. You can just judge yourself on the basis of that. So here, I have already told you what exactly is an operating system. It is just a piece of program which is controlling the execution of application program, and it acts as an interface between user, application, and hardware. Now, let me tell you one thing, that operating system is just another system software. In the last semester, we have already seen various system softwares. You have seen compilers, linkers, loaders, and various other this system softwares you people have already seen. But operating system is also considered to be one of the system software which is used by your system to to provide interface between user and the hardware, right? Now let us move on to this part, where you can see here is actually the location of your operating system. It is placed in between the hardware and the user. Here you are seeing, see, this is a category of software. As I have already told you, that operating system is a kind of system software where you see these are the two things that your operating system is managing. Your operating system is the controller of other system softwares, and it is the controller of application softwares as well. It is providing a platform to your application software. It is providing, whatever your application software require, like if it is requiring some kind of devices, or it is requiring some kind of resources to work upon, or if there are some kind of input output signals, or if some kind of interrupts are generated. So each and everything which your system software or your application software is requiring, that is already provided by your operating system. So you can say that operating system, it acts as a manager of your system basically, which is who is responsible for each and everything which is happening in your system. So this is operating system, and here you can see the user is interacting with this part, with the application part. User is not directly communicating with the operating system via application software or system software. We are communicating indirectly with the operating system, and whatever instructions we are giving to operating system, that instructions, they are forwarded by operating system to the responsible, or whosoever is responsible for those instructions. It is provided to them. Like hardware can be some kind of central processing unit. Let's say if you are performing some kind of arithmetical operations, then in that case your operating system will be communicating with your ALU, arithmetic and logical unit in CPU. And let's say if you are executing something, obviously for executing, we already know this thing, that for execution there has to be a random access memory. Everything is loaded on the random access memory, and then it is executed there. So this is the work of your operating system, to communicate with the responsible part of your system, so as to execute whatever any user has instructed him to do so, right? So this is what exactly is your operating system. Here is the replacement of your operating system and how it is managing the things. This you can see, right? Now user 1, user 2, user n, this simply means that there could be, we always understand it like that, like there could be a type of operating system which is single user, but yes, there exist multiple users also. So this could be another point, right? So here, that is why it is depicted user 1 to user n, in case if you are having a system which is multi-user in case, right? Now, what are the objectives of operating system, right? It is not our objective. We are just, understanding the objectives which operating system has. So objectives of operating system are, first one is to provide the convenience. It provides, or it makes an environment which is convenient to use for user as well as for hardware. It makes it convenient for both of them, for the user as well as for the hardware, because it is a manager in between. So it is having this responsibility of making a convenient environment for both of them. Then the second important and crucial task of operating system is to provide efficiency. Obviously, operating system is the one which is responsible for the efficient utilization of your of your system. Like you must have heard in about this central processing unit. However, I'm coming over in few units further. Whatever units are coming, like second and third units, they'll tell you that the central processing unit is always meant to be 100% utilized. If you cannot utilize your this central processing unit round about 100%, then we can say that your system efficiency is not up to the mark. So this is always required. So who is responsible for upgrading the efficiency? It is your operating system which is responsible for the efficiency of your central processing unit, to allocate and deallocate the resources and to manage them wonderfully. So this is what exactly is operating system, that it has the objective of increasing the efficiency of the system, right? Then the third important objective of your operating system is the ability to evolve. What is this? That it should provide effective development, testing, or some kind of environment where if you are using some kind of a new device or some kind of a new peripheral device has been introduced in your system, how to manage them perfectly. Everything is under control of operating system. It is its objective to manage that perfectly. So this is one of the objective. Now here you see the layers of computer system. However, I have shown it in the previous picture also, but let it be like this. It is perfectly the layers of the computer system that we are seeing. So here if you see, The innermost layer that you see of the operating system is basically the computer hardware. So at the core of the system is your computer hardware, which is responsible for everything which is going on in your system. Without a computer hardware, you cannot run anything, whether it is your desktop or if it is your mobile phone or if it is your laptop, anything, any system, whichever it is there, any electronic device needs a computer hardware to run on. So this is called as the innermost layer. Now, over and above this computer hardware, there is a layer which we call the operating system, which is actually acting as a manager of everything. It is a program manager for everything, which is actually working as an interface between the two things that I have already told you. So this is your second innermost layer. This is operating system, right? Then we have the utilities part. The utilities are used by the programmers. And finally, we have the application program. So you can say application program is the outermost layer of the computer system, which is used by the end user. So in case if we want to interact, or in case if we want to have some kind of execution in our system, we always need to have this operating system, but in an indirect way. We can communicate with our operating system via application programs. So this is what the layers of the computer system looks like. So you can just have a look at this. Please go through this, just see the picture here, and if you want to take the screenshot, you can even take the screenshot. However, I'm going to just upload all these ppts on your lecture panel whenever LMS will open, right? Right now I don't think so that the subject is open on the panel, but still whenever it is open, I'm going to just upload all these ppts, and in case you people require it, you can just download it, or if you want right now, you can just take a screenshot of it, right? So I hope this one is clear to you, the layers of the computer system. Now let me take you to the next slide. Now the services that are provided by your operating system. So when we talk about the services of the operating system, see, there are various services that your operating system is providing, like you are seeing here. It provides program execution, whatever programs you want to execute, whichever program or process you want to execute, that is provided by your operating system. Accessing any kind of input device, output device, whether you are accessing your printer, or you are using a microphone, or you are putting on a headphone, everything is under control of your operating system. It is the one which is managing all these things. Then the controlled access of files. Why I'm saying controlled access? See, file accessing is a primary function of your operating system. Whatever files you are able to access, it is just because of your operating system. But when we use the term controlled, that means there are some access rights which are provided for every file. Majorly, we say there are three types of rights, that is called R, W, and X. What is R? The reading right. Let us assume that if there is a file and only a reading permit is given in that file, reading access is given. Now, in that case, a user can only read that file. He has not got the access right of writing, modifying in it, or executing that file. Similarly, if a particular file is been provided with the writing rights, then in that case, that file can be modified, but you cannot execute that file. And finally, there is a right which is called execution right. Now in execution rights, you are allowed to execute your file, right? You cannot read it, you cannot modify it. So these are some of the rights which which makes the access to be controlled by your operating system. So that is why we say that even your operating system has got this feature that it can provide a controlled access to the files. If you want your files to be maintained in a privacy manner, then in that case you can use these controlled accesses. Then the next service that is provided by the operating system is the system access. You can access your system using operating system, via operating system. By system access, what do we mean? System access means like whatever the functionalities are provided by your systems, that you can access, but with the permission of, or if your operating system is allowing you to do so, with the help of interfaces. I'm coming over it, what all are the different interfaces that you can use with the operating system. Then finally, the major function that your operating system is providing is of program development. Obviously, see, the first point says the program execution. Obviously, you can execute a program, but if you want a development environment for your program, even that is allowed by your operating system. You can have various softwares on which you want to develop your program. You can develop your program, and once it is developed, you can even execute that. So these all are the basic features or basic services that are provided by your operating system. Then other services that are provided are the error detection and response. Always, obviously, some kind of errors can always occur in your internal and external hardwares. So these type of errors are always, the user is always aware about these errors. How come? The operating system is there to give such kind of information that some kind of failure has occurred or there is some kind of error. You always get a pop-up window to show all these things, to know about the errors. So these can be there. Now here you can see the kind of software errors that are there, like arithmetic overflow can be there, or access is forbidden for some kind of locations. Now these are some of the errors which can be there, and your operating system is there to inform you about all these errors. So these are again the the services that your operating system is providing. Then the next kind of services that your operating system is providing is of accounting. Now here we are not concerned about the accounts that account manager does. We are about to learn about the accountings of whatever thing is going on in your system. It is it is accounted by your system. It is accounted by your operating system. It takes care of all the statistics, whatever is happening in your system. It is it is the role of operating system to manage all these things. So these are accounting, like whatever is happening, how much time a process has taken to execute, or how much memory is required, at what time a process has taken some kind of resource and it has released one resource, at what time a process is created, at what time a process is reallocated, how much memory is allocated to a process. All these things are a part of accounting. So here again, operating system is the one which takes care of this accounting things. So this is what a service that your operating system is providing. Then next we'll see the functions of operating system. Now this is one important part which your operating system is playing. The functions, these are some of the 4 or 5 major functions which your operating system is performing, and it performs it in a very efficient manner so that your system can smoothly work on. So let us start with this. What exactly are the functions? However, let me tell you this, that the syllabus of your operating system is divided in such a manner that in the coming units, a whole unit is dedicated on each function. Like one is for process or resource management, one is for memory management, like this. So your whole syllabus is divided on these major functions as well, right? So I'm not going to take up all these functions in a very in-depth manner here. I'm just going to give you an intro of all these functions which your operating system is performing, right? But later on in the coming units, in the coming lectures, I'm going to cover up all these processes in depth. We are going to learn about each and everything here, right? So right now, I'm just giving you the intro of all the functions that your operating system is providing. So let us understand what all are the major functions of your operating system. First of all, when we talk about the major function of your operating system, it is the resource management. It is the very crucial and very important function that your operating system performs, which is called resource management, or you can say whatever the resources are there. It is the taking. It is the the caretaker of all these things. So see, the resource management function of an operating system, it allocates computer resources. What can be a computer resource? It can be CPU time, it can be main memory, it can be secondary memory, it can be any kind of input or output devices. All these things are provided by your operating system. Not provided, in fact, it is managed by your operating system. It has to decide that which process has to be given resource first, or which process has to be aborted, or which interrupts we have to take, if we want to preempt anything or not, or if we have to perform some kind of program which should be non-preemptive in nature. So all these things are exactly required, right? So this is what your operating system is doing. So this is what we call is resource management. Then let's say the second important function of your operating system is called the data management, right? Obviously, we already know this thing that any system, whatever kind of an electronic device or whatever kind of a system you people are accessing, it is just a repository of data. It is a collection of huge data, because we are in an era where every device is connected to internet, and whenever your system is connected to internet, it is a higher possibility that obviously your system is handling lots of data, right? So data management, even it is an important part of your operating system. No matter how much memory you have, 1 terabyte or 1 gigabyte, the data is always has to be managed. That is what you have studied in data structures as well. That is the need of data structure, right? So let's see what is data management here. See, when we talk about data management functions of an operating system, basically they governs the input and output of data, and their location, their storage, their retrieval, how you're going to fetch them, or how you are going to organize them or structure them, where you are going to save them. Everything is the management of the data, which is the responsibility of your operating system. Then it is basically also your operating system is also responsible for storing and retrieving of information on the disk drives, and for the organization of that information on the drive. Now let me tell you one interesting thing, that somehow some people misinterpret it like this, that operating system is only concerned with the random access memory or the primary memory. It has nothing to do with your secondary memory. But let me tell you, your operating system is the manager who is responsible for your secondary memory as well, your hard disk as well. So your operating system has the responsibility of both these memory. It has to take care of your random access memory, and it has to take care of your disk memory also, because always the interaction between the random access memory and disk memory is required, because all the data cannot be stored in your random access memory. You people already know this thing, that random access memory is very limited in nature. It is very small in nature. You cannot save everything on your random access memory. It is volatile in nature. So what do we need to have? We need to store everything on the disk storage, on the hard disk, on the secondary memory. And whenever we require to execute all of them, we need to take up the things, or we need to fetch the things or retrieve the things from your secondary memory, and we need to load it in the primary memory to get it executed. So obviously your operating system is acting as a manager in between both of them, because anytime if it is required that a process has to be executed, then operating system is the one which is fetching up the data from the secondary memory and loading it on the main memory. And once the execution of a program is done in the random access memory, it is the operating system which is responsible for again loading it back or saving it back in the disk storage. So obviously your operating system is the one which is managing the data in between both the memories, the disk storage, the hard drive, or you say the secondary memory, and the primary memory as well, right? So I hope this point is clear to you, that what is the important function, like data management is what exactly in terms of operating system. Then uh, the third operation that your operating system is performing, let's say it is the job management, right? What exactly is job? It is nothing to do with your jobs, your placements, but job is the a task or the processes which are there in your system. So see, the job management function of an operating system basically prepares, schedules, and controls and monitors the jobs which are submitted for execution to ensure the most efficient processing of them. So what do we call a job? It is just it is a collection of more related programs and their data. So as I told you, job is nothing but the programs which are awaiting for some kind of executions. So see, until a program is executed, it is considered to be a job which has to be performed. It is a duty of your operating system to perform that job. And once your job has been done, it is executed, we say that the task has been completed. So you might have seen in system software engineering also, we have seen some scheduling algorithms. Why we schedule the things? Because operating system has got a long queue of jobs that are to be executed, that needs execution. So it is a job of operating system to execute all these tasks one by one, and how efficiently it manages to execute them, it is one of the major tasks. Because if you remember, I told you one concept of starvation. See, operating system, somehow at some point of time it gets affected with this condition, which is called starvation. As I told you, what is a starvation? It is kind of that condition where, a process is waiting for a very long time to get executed, but it is not getting the CPU execution time, just because your operating system is busy in executing some other more prioritized processes. So if in case a process has been waiting for so long, we call that that particular process is, under starvation condition. It is not getting, it is in a hunger of execution time, but as your operating system is not able to provide that execution time, that is why it is affected by that starvation condition. So to avoid such kind of cases, your operating system is there to manage all these things, having using the scheduling algorithms which are already, existing. And later on in coming units also, I'm going to tell you there are again some scheduling algorithms that you people see, that how can we, schedule the jobs and how efficiently we can run the jobs without going into the starvation condition. So I hope this function is clear to you. What is exactly job management? As we know that again, obviously a system has got the peripheral devices also. There are some auxiliary devices which are attached to your system. There could be your pen drive, it could be your printer scanner, it could be any joystick, it could be your mouse, keyboard, anything which is, attached to your system. Even that needs to be managed. So your operating system is acting as a standard mean of communication between the user and the computer. So the OS also establishes a standard means of communication between the user and the computer system, whether it is, kind of any input output device also. So the operating system basically does this by providing a user interface and a standard set of commands that controls the hardware. So even this is a job of your operating system, to manage the input output devices or manage the input output organization of data, right? Then you can see here the file storage. Obviously, file management is also the task of operating system. How it is going to, save the files, how it is going to organize the file. You see, there is a need. Sometimes you might have heard about the cache memory, CACH. We call it cache memory somehow. So even that is a memory. You might have heard about the concept of this memory. Why do we use it? So as to, lesser down the accessing time of your process from the secondary memory. See, what happens is, when you are executing a particular process or a program, some kind of files are required to execute them. So what happens is, the very first time you are accessing that file, your operating system is the one who is searching for that particular file in the secondary memory. Once it searches that file, it fetches it and gives it to the process to run or to execute completely. And then what happens is, there is a cache memory in between the random access memory and the secondary memory, which has got a role of, keeping the record or keeping the copy of that file for a fixed duration. Now, after that duration, the copy is removed from the cache memory, but for a particular duration of time, cache memory holds this copy. Why? Because it thinks that, maybe in few moments later, or maybe next time, you can ask for the same file again. So again, if you require that file again, your operating system has to go for search in go looking out for, the file again in the secondary memory. So to cut down that excess time, your cache memory keeps a copy of it, so that in near future, if the process again requires the same file, you don't have to go back to secondary memory. It is already provided by the cache memory. So this is what your operating system is doing, the file management, and how the files are managed. Because you see, we can say that obviously secondary memory, we say that, okay, I have 1 terabyte of memory. But even if you have 1 terabyte memory, it is also a limited amount, right? If you're storing too many files and too many data, because we are in IoT era, right? So every time you people are dealing with voluminous data, you are dealing with big data. So even a terabyte is nothing in that case. So this is your operating system who has got the responsibility of managing this much of data into your system, how to manage the files. If you have some temporary files, how to delete that, or how to manage all the files. So this is again an important function of your operating system, to manage the files, in a very efficient way, so that in near future, if a user wants to access such kind of file, it can provide the files as and when it is required. Then the next important task of your operating system is of providing the interface, user interface. So how a user interface is what the how the interaction is done of user and the computer. Then it requires different skill task for doing such kind of interfaces. So let us now see what all are the types of interfaces that your operating system is providing, right? So we can say that a program that controls a display for the user, like usually on a computer monitor, and that allows the user to interact with the system, is basically called the user interface, right? And the user interface basically, it allows the user to communicate with the operating system. As I've already told you, you cannot directly communicate with your operating system, but user interface provides you a way of indirect communication with your operating system, right? So again, user interface is a medium to communicate with your operating system. Then the user interface provides a means of input where it allows the users to manipulate the system, and it provides the means of output as well, where it allows the system to indicate the effects of the user's manipulation, right? Now when we talk about this user interface, basically there are two types of user interface. You people already know this thing, that one is called CUI, which is command line interface, and one is called the graphical user interface. This is GUI. So you people are already aware of these two types of interfaces which your operating system is providing. Now coming over to the command line interface, the CUI part, basically this command line interface is just a mechanism for interacting with the computer operating system or software by typing the commands to perform specific tasks. So here in command line interface, what exactly we are doing is we are communicating with the operating system with the help of commands, right? So whatever you want, you can instruct your operating system, whatever this request you do it via commands in the command prompt. You give the instructions, you instruct your operating system with the help of text, which are basically the commands. So this method of instructing a computer to perform a given task is referred to as entering a command. What do we call it? Entering a command, right? And this can be done via input or via your keyboard, right? We are inputting the instructions with the help of a keyboard. And when we say command line argument, or sorry, this command line interface, one important thing about this is that it is not for the beginners level, right? If a user is a novice in this field, like it has just started to use computer systems, then he must not be aware about all these UI instructions, because obviously we are not having those in-depth knowledge of the instruction. However, we know what are the different commands. The basic commands we already know: how to copy, how to move directory, how to change directory. These are some of the common commands, but these are not meant for the beginners who don't know how to use them. So we cannot say that it is a user friendly thing, because it is not meant for all users. Only the users who know this thing already, that how to use the commands and what exactly is the function of a particular command, that user can use it. But if you expect it for with your, let's say, 11 or 12 years old kid who doesn't know how to operate all these things, he or she cannot use such kind of things. So command line interfaces are not meant for every user here. Then command line interface, you have already seen how does it looks like. Let me see if I have such kind of thing to show you. So these are some kind of command prompt where you can instruct your operating system with the help of CUI to perform some kind of task. You might have seen all these things. How do we do that in command prompt, right? So few of the commands you have already seen, like dir here in command line interface, it is called directory. We can copy any file or folder. We can use copy command. To make a new folder, we can use md, make directory. Then if you want to clear the screen using command prompt, we can use cls, that is a clear screen command. Then we can use quit command to quit the screen. So these are a few basic commands that we can use. Now, coming over to the next type of interface that is provided by your operating system is the GUI, right? That is called graphical user interface. So it is a type of basically a user interface which allows people to interact with computer with the help of graphics or images rather than text command. Obviously, such kind of interface is more convenient to use by every type of user. Like I was telling you that you cannot expect 11, 12-year old kid to use command line interfaces by just typing commands and operating the system. No, it is very difficult for them to operate. But when we talk about graphical user interface, even a 5-year-old kid knows how to access a particular application with the help of some kind of application or icons. He or she is already knowing all these things, so it is a more convenient way of interacting with your operating system. And again, if you want to access this, or if you want to use GUI, you can take help of your keyboards, or you can use some kind of pointing devices, or even a touch can help out in GUI systems. So it is considered to be very easy and convenient to learn as well. So this is the beauty of the graphical user interface. So when we talk about the elements of the graphical user interface, they are like the pointers that we use. There could be icons, the desktop, the windows that you are using, the menu part. All these things are elements of your graphical user interface. And you people, I guess, already know, you people are already aware of all these elements of your graphical user interface. You people are using it in a daily basis. The desktops, or the windows, the menus part, pull down menu, pop up menu, all these things you already know how to use them, and these are considered to be the parts of the GUI systems, right? So now comes what all are the things that you can run over your operating system. So this could be different kind of applications your operating system is supporting. There could be system calls. What are system calls? We are going to see in the second unit as well. So if you want to have system calls, even that could be done. System calls are nothing but the instructions that we are providing to the operating system to do particular task. That is system call. But again, it has got different types. We are going to see in the second unit, right? Then sharing of information between the programs, like copying and pasting and linking, loading, whatever it is, pre-processing, all these are the tasks which is done by your operating system. Then managing hardware is again one thing that your operating system is doing. In managing hardware, what exactly are the things? Like handling the interrupts is one of the major tasks in managing the hardware. There could be interrupt at any moment of time, and to handle that interrupt in a very efficient manner is the work of your operating system. So even this could be done. Then controlling of the device drivers in your system, this is again a major task that your operating system is performing. This we have already seen how you can organize the files and the folders. Now we see there are types of operating systems, right? Like if you are seeing here, you see the real-time operating system. So real-time operating system, when we talk about such kind of operating system, they are the ones where delays are not allowed. There are some specific deadlines, and you have to meet those deadlines. Like you might have heard about ATC, air traffic control. It is one of the good example of real-time operating system where a delay of just a 1 minute can result in a hazardous situation. So such kind of operating system are called real-time operating system, which are very specific on time. They are very you say they are very quickly, they are very responsive in nature. They are very quick in working. So this is some of the example. MP3 players are one of the devices which we say they are RTOS, or air traffic controlling. As I have told you, this is one of the good example of a real-time operating system. Then there are single user operating system, like the MS-DOS systems that we have used in our early lives. Those are this MS-DOS systems. So one user can work it on that computer. They were inexpensive. They are not, like if you compare the prices of nowadays, that operating system that we people are using, if you compare the prices of those MS-DOS systems, it is very less in comparison. So these are single user operating system that we can use. Then this is just a operating system. This is operating of your single tasking system. How you can do that, right? They are called unique programming systems. Then you have single user and multitasking OS. The user is single, but multiple tasks can be done parallelly. So such kind of systems were Windows XP, and we already know you all have used Windows XP at one point of time in your life, right? We were aware of it once we have used all these Windows XP systems. So they were single user, but they were multitasking at times. You can see how the multi-programming happens. It is showing concurrence here. You can see how concurrently your processes are going on. Concurrently, how your processes are going on. Again, with that, we have multi-user, multitasking operating systems as well. So, multi-user and multitasking operating systems have the examples of like Unix or the Linux system that we people are using. They are multi-user and they are multitasking as well. So, here you can see at one moment of time, you can be doing several tasks parallelly. Now, how you can enhance your operating system? So, for enhancing, you can use utilities. You can provide services which are not included in your OS. You can go beyond the core functions, like you can have a firewall installed into it. Antivirus can be there. You can use fragmentation softwares. So these are some of the utilities which are not inbuilt in your operating system, but yes, you can use these kind of utilities so that your operating system can perform much better than the standard operation that it does. Backup softwares can be used, archives files onto removable media. You can ensure data integrity. Backup facility can be provided to your systems. So these things, help out in enhancing your operating systems. Then antivirus can be installed in your system to enhance the capabilities of your operating system, so as to get your system prevented from some kind of worms or viruses. Firewalls can be installed so as to just make strong securities in your operating system regarding the accesses. Intrusion detection, even this is a part of firewall. If you install a firewall, this could be curbed at at some point of time. Screensavers, that is one of the enhancement of your operating system, just a GUI application it is. So this is all about the operating system and its function today. Now I'm going to share with you the MCQ part. This is just for your self-assessment. Please go through them and try to self-assess yourself that how much answers do you know about these things, right? So one by one, I'm just sharing the MCQs with you, and you just try out the correct answer, whatever you think. You don't have to speak at all. Just see the questions and judge yourself that whether you know the right answer or not. So the first question says, which of the following is not an operating system? Is it Windows, Linux, Oracle, or DOS operating system? So I guess this is very easy and you people are already able to judge whichever is the correct answer. Now let me show you the next question. What is the maximum length of the file name in DOS? Now this is a bit, I should say, not easy one, but yes, you might have used DOS operating system, so you might be aware of the length of the file name which it allows. Now let me take you to the third question that we have. When was the first operating system developed? I know this thing that this is not a question of a technical side. It is more on a theoretical part, but okay, that is this will enhance your operating system knowledge. You can just check it out, what is the year in which your first operating system was used. Then next one, is what else is a command interpreter called? There is a command interpreter in an operating system, and it has got a second name. What do you call a command interpreter? If you don't know these things, you can just search it on the internet to get this knowledge. So it will help you out in enhancing your knowledge about operating system. So just check it out, and if you know this answer already, that is very good. But if you don't know this, you can just check this out. Let me take you to the next question. I hope this is clear to you. What else is a command interpreter called? Is it prompt? Is it kernel? Is it shell? Or is it command? Then the next question is BIOS. So what is BIOS? Or BIOS is used by operating system, or is it used by compiler, interpreter, or by any other application software? So you need to understand, or you need to tell what exactly is BIOS and where do we use it, who uses it, operating system or the compiler or some kind of application software it is. So quickly try to answer, judge yourself. Let me take you to the next question. I hope you have already seen the answer here. Now, what is the meaning of booting in the operating system? So, you always have heard about this word and you always do such kind of things in your systems somehow. So, booting here in operating system, is it the restarting of the computer? Is it installing any kind of program? Is it to scan something, or is it to turn off the system? So, out of these four, whichever is the correct answer, please try to just judge yourself. The next question is, which is the Linux operating system? Is it a private operating system? Is it Windows operating system? Is it open source operating system, or it is nothing on the above mentioned grounds? So I hope this is a very easy question, and you will be able to answer this question. Then the next question is, what is bootstrapping called? So, what is the second name that we give to bootstrapping? Bootstrapping is also known as, is it a cold boot? Is it a cold hot boot? It is called cold hot strap, or is it a hot boot? So, if you don't know the answers, you can see it on the internet to gain knowledge about this. The next question is, which of the following is a single user operating system? Is it Windows? Is it Mac? Is it MS DOS? Or none of the above? So, this question, I have already taken this in the lecture, and it was easy to answer, which is the single user operating system. So, this is all we have in this lecture. I hope this one is already clear to all of you. So thank you so much. We are done with the lecture. I'm stopping the recording, and if you people have any questions, you can ask after.